Hi guys, my name is Roger, and ever since I was a teenager, I've always wanted to build my own car. I started this channel to see if an average person, like me, can design and build their own mid-engine car. If you like what you see here in my videos, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you know someone who you think might be interested in my videos, please share the videos with them. I'll be adding a new video every week, and with that out of the way, let's get started with this week's video. Well, I have the sway bars mounted. I cleaned them up as best as they would come. They're not actually painted, they're powder coated. So the powder coating's in rough shape in a spot or two, so I'm probably going to eventually strip the powder coating off and have them re-powder coated. But for now, they are good enough to proceed mounting them. You can see how they're attached. The new mounting brackets here going across. I'm worried that when this thing flexes and starts twisting, it's kind of close to the frame. It may actually touch. So I may put a spacer plate between the clamp and the place that the clamp mounts here. This is leaning in at the top just a little, so it wouldn't hurt to bring it back maybe 3/16 or a quarter or something. I'll have to measure and get an idea, maybe even 1/8 of an inch. But you can see how it's mounted. Let's go to the front one. The front one is attached. It's sitting here roughly where it goes. I've still got to make the mounts for the front. I was waiting for the sway bar and all the mounts hardware to come in, so everything is here. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is make the attachment pieces here for these clamps to mount to. I'll have to make them out of aluminum, weld it to the frame. Have to get the exact location. Well, I made two different styles or types of mounts for this front sway bar. And I've got one clamped here, and another one is laying here on the floor. And honestly, I don't like either one of them. So I've decided to abandon this idea, and I've ordered some new material. I ordered a piece of steel. It's 4-inch angle, and I'm going to cut the angle to where one part of it will mount up against this aluminum tube. It'll have 4 bolts to bolt it to this tube. The other part of the angle will turn up here and bolt to this mounting bracket for the sway bar. I'll have to put a spacer in between the steel angle and this mount, but you know, 3/16 or 1/4 of an inch or something aluminum spacer. But I believe that will work. I believe that will be stronger, and that is the route I'm going with. The material is ordered, so we'll throw these pieces that I've cut here, these aluminum pieces, back in a scrap pile. I may use them somewhere else. In the meantime, while I am waiting on that material to come in, I had a couple of packages arrive today. The washers that I'm going to use for temporary spacers on these front rotors, the wheels attaching to the rotors, the washers are here. So I'm going to mount these front wheels using these spacers so they don't rub the calipers. Once the wheels and tires are back on the car, I can roll it again. I need to install the engine. Had a kit come today to relocate the alternator and the power steering pump. But the alternator is the biggest thing I want to relocate. It's going to go down in the bottom right-hand corner, looking at the engine, front of the engine. Anyway, bottom right-hand corner of the engine. And hopefully we'll fit in here and just clear this tube. I'll have to cut and notch this tube some, but we'll see how it fits. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to mount these wheels and try to get this bracket put on the engine, relocating those two pieces, and see if I can get the engine mounted back in the car tonight and start seeing how much interference there's going to be to need to cut away. And I also have the air conditioner compressor ordered. It should be here in a few days, and we can mount that to the engine and see how much it interferes on the other side, cutting away that tubing. Both sides will need to be cut away some, but I don't know how much yet. But let's get started on that and see how far we get tonight. Quick little update. This metal came in. This is what I'm going to use to mount the front sway bar. It's a rather large, heavy piece, but it'll be cut down into small pieces and shaped and sized to be what I need it to. So it'll be small and not very heavy, but it will be strong. And that's something that I'll probably start on here right after this video, but let's finish this video. You can see I've got this hose laying here. Bought some hoses for the engine to test fit, just to get a look at, see how I was going to plumb it into these aluminum lines. And some of the hoses fit so-so. This one didn't fit at all, and was about $80. So it's going back. I'm going to try to find a hose that fits better. These are the hoses that I have on the engine. You can see the one that goes up over the top and down to the water pump. It's kind of cartoonish looking. It's funny. But I'm going to have to switch water pumps. They make a water pump that has a neck. It comes out right here and straight forward. And I'm going to replace the water pump with that, so it'll make the hose work out great. Just come straight out and then down, and it'll be about half the length of this hose. Let's go around to the other side. Something else I need to buy is this water neck's heading out the wrong direction. They make a neck that comes straight out, and with both water pump necks coming straight out, the hoses will just come out and turn down 90 degrees and be right at the plumbing here on the tubes, so that would work out great. I bought these small rubber tubes here that go to the heater core. They will eventually be cut to length and sized and ran in a configuration that's similar to this. It may not be exact, but something like that. It'll be close. And go back to the other side. I have this kit installed to move the alternator and the power steering pump, and I struggled trying to get this pulley off the power steering pump about an hour and a half, and my gear puller would just not do it. So I took it to a local auto parts store and had them pull it off, and came home and mounted it. And just taking a look, the engine is sitting in the car, but it's not quite all the way on the engine mounts. The alternator is bumping here on this aluminum. I've got to cut it away on this side for the alternator, on the other side for the air conditioner compressor. So both sides will be cut away here soon, maybe today or tomorrow. But the location and configuration of this is much better. It gets the alternator a lot lower, so it's not up near the back of the seat, and it lowers the center of gravity of the car too. So really like this configuration. It worked out nice. Just got to notch those aluminum tubes so I can set the engine all the way in and bolt it to the engine mounts. And let's see what else. My metric hardware came in, so I've got a box of nuts and bolts here to start bolting things together where there are no bolts, or in some cases there's drill bits or whatever stuck in holes. The whole thing's in position, but I can cinch all this down with the correct hardware today. And also the metal came in for the fuel tank, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make this yet, but I have an idea. It is 1/8 inch thick, 50-52 or 50-54. It's 50-52, but those are the two recommended alloys for fuel tanks. I'm not quite sure why, but that's what they recommend, and that's what I purchased. So there's 2 sheets of that there, and we'll start working on a fuel tank here in the next couple of weeks if everything goes well. But that's my update. Car always looks better with the engine sitting in it, but I guess for today, or at least right now, let's get started on these front mounts for this front sway bar and get this out of the way. I've been working on it far too long. Well, this is what I've come up with for a front suspension mount. I believe this will be my final time of making something. I think I can make this work. It looks good. This is what it looks like here laying on the floor. Has the 4 bolt holes. It will bolt through the frame like all the other suspension components. It'll have a plate on the back side and sandwich that thick tubing. I've got to put a spacer in between the mounting plate and the sway bar mount, just to space it off a little to keep it from touching here. And once I figure out what thickness of plate, exactly where the sway bar needs to mount, then I'll know how far forward and backward this plate needs to mount. I can clamp it on in the right place and transfer my holes through. Once I get both sides mounted, I'll put shims underneath the sway bar to hold the correct height, and then I'll transfer the holes for the sway bar mounting plate into the steel component, and I think they will be done. So that looks good to me. I believe that'll function and looks pretty strong. I don't see any issues. So after making 3 or 4 different types of mounts, I think I've got something here that I like and can make work. So let's go ahead and continue on with these.